So the next game that or well, actually not the next game, but the next segment that we're gonna get into is our best bets. Um, the first game for our best bets, we have the Bucks versus the 49ers. 49ers to the minus 3.5 favorite. So that's interesting. I would go with the 49ers with this bet. I mean, I think they play well one at home. Obviously, yes, there is Brock Purdy and he's the starting quarterback, but again, when you have a defense that they have and you have a run game to lean on, it puts a lot less pressure on the quarterback. And we've seen the Bucks struggling offensively, which a struggling offense against a stellar defense is a recipe for a disaster. So
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think the 49ers are the play to make here. That defense is super solid. We saw the Bucks against the Saints last week. They're able to kind of stay on top of that division where none of them could find wins. I think the 49ers are going to be able to keep the Bucks in check and really shut down that pass games in terms of scoring points. I think they'll probably still be able to throw it around and get some yards, but I think they'll be able to limit the points and have more of a bend but not break type of defense. And yeah, I look, the Bucks actually have a pretty decent run defense, but I think with the amount of weapons the 49ers have, the ability to hit some short passes, some screens, they'll pose some problems for the Bucks. And I look to be this to be a very low scoring game though. Um, I'd probably see this as one of those like 17-13 type of games or something like that. But yeah, I think that the 49ers will continue winning here even with their backup quarterback and you know leave the Bucks in a position where they're gonna really have to fight it out till the end to see who could win that division of theirs.
yeah. So the next game we have is the Vikings. They're the +1 underdog versus the Lions, right?
Yes,
Which is
and
actually kind of crazy.
I saw it at +2 at a certain point. I don't remember when I looked at the lines in preparation for this, but yeah, it's very odd that the Lions are favored here. A lot of people have been talking about that.
I'm not
I'm
mad at
taking,
it.
I'm taking the Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings with the points. It's a tricky thing, for Vegas to do this. It's almost like, are you trying to trick us,
Right.
or is this how you really feel? So whatever, I'll blindly take the Vikings here and think that they're going to win this game, and I'll let them prove me wrong. But I don't see any reason why the Vikings wouldn't win this game. We saw the Lions blow out the Jaguars last week. Um, but that
But
doesn't
again, it's the
that yeah, it
Jaguars. Yeah.
doesn't that doesn't change for me how I feel about the Vikings. Look, and the Lions are a solid team. Can they win this game? I think they
Possibly.
could very well win this
I think
game.
that's the thing with the Lions. They have that puncher's chance, like
Yeah, they
with a
could.
lot of
They
teams.
have a very their offense has been rolling. They've been playing pretty well as of late. But look, against a Vikings team that's been solid all year. This isn't a primetime game, so no worries about Kirk Cousins, disappearing. Justin Jefferson has been on fire. Defense solid.
Dalvin Cook's on
I
money.
mean, look, yeah, Dalvin Cook has been great. This is a divisional game, right? So it's tricky in that sense, but I'll roll with the Vikings here and make them prove me wrong.
Yeah, and then the next game we got is the Texans versus the Cowboys. Texans are the +17 underdog, which is interesting because I mean they played pretty well against the Browns. I mean it was Deshaun Watson's first game, but granted, I mean the Browns are a pretty solid team, so
Yeah, yeah, and look, there's and we talked about this another time about how once it's over +9.5, how much it shifts for the underdog to cover. +17, that's a big spread to cover. You
yeah, that's
rarely
huge.
see these type of spreads for NFL games. The Cowboys, though, have absolutely throttled some of their recent opponents, and I think that's playing a factor here with how good their defense has been playing,
Yeah.
plus their offense's ability to put up some points. That being said, the Texans, oddly enough, have hung around in most of their games this year.
Yeah.
Right? You talked about the Browns; they were hanging around in that game. The Eagles, who best record in the league, they played a very close game with them. Um, I don't see why it would be so different for the Cowboys. That being said, I can see this being a 42-7 type of game for the Cowboys as well.
Yeah.
But and that would probably mean that the Cowboys are scoring on defense, like pick sixes, scooping scores, that type of thing. That they have that type of ability on defense to really score from the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, if they could, two defensive scores, I mean, you could really blow this game wide open and kind of suck all the hope and willingness to really put it out there for the Texans and kind of just leave that team deflated and jump on them early, put your neck on their throat and just really take them out of the game. So, but yeah, otherwise, I'm pretty certain the Texans will cover this spread, super huge spread. Texans have shown the ability to get some stops on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense is not great, but they've been able to do enough to keep them in games. And when the games aren't high scoring games, they're able to stay
winnable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially 17-point spread. So I mean that's a lot of points. But
Right.
with that being said, we're gonna wrap this up for our NFL segment, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.